So originally, the third video that I was going to do on the Gillette commercial was going to be me comparing and contrasting their commercials for our men here and the commercial I saw that they did for women that my buddy Sots to 2 Cent had pointed out in his video. So I did that. I made that video. I created it, but I didn't really like my commentary because it kind of felt that it was a little over the place. So I decided I was just gonna do it all over again. But then I was watching other people's reactions to the commercial, and I stumbled across this one right here by a YouTuber by the name of Melanie Murphy. And I remember liking Melanie Murphy quite a bit because I mean I just love her accent, and I think that she's a cute woman. So I mean like I kind of she's got everything going for her when it comes to getting me to like her. So then I was like, okay, I'll listen to this video, and I watched it, and I'm like, you know what? This is a pretty good opportunity to make some commentary and really like kind of point out some things that I have said before, but maybe I just need to update and put into another video. And also, it's been such a long time since I've done a video response, and I thought, you know what? Let's bring this shit all the way back to 2014, 2015, right? Let's go all the way back then when video responses was just a normal thing that we did. That was fun. Anyhow, Melanie Murphy's going to take us away. Well, actually, before she takes us away, I do want to say this. I don't think Melanie is a bad person at all, okay? Like, I don't really think, like, she does not have any, like, vicious or nasty commentary that really needs to be smacked down. But I do think that there are some points that need to be addressed and tightened up, because I think it's a really common thought process a lot of young ladies have, but they don't really consider or think about, like, why it's kind of wrong and why it's, like, not helpful. You'll see. Now, Melanie, take us away.
How are you, my internet family? I'm jumping on here real quick to make this video because I have stuff to say. But if you can hear a tractor outside, forgive me, I'm in Ireland. This morning I went on Instagram stories and I was crying over a bloody advert, okay? The ad was a smidge overdone, but it and the comments underneath it riled my emotions enough to want to make this video because I tweeted about it and I can't fit enough in a tweet and a lot of you guys were replying and I just have to fucking say this, okay? I love men. Almost all of my favourite human beings are men, like my dad who has worked hard all his life to provide for us, like my partner who chased his dreams to become a commercial airline pilot, and like he always has my back. He makes me feel very protected, and I love that he can be himself completely in a world that wants to put him into a little box. Like my younger brother who reads a lot of books to grow the muscle that is his brain.
See, I told you guys, like, she's not an awful young lady, she's not. I don't even know if I could even call Melanie a feminist. I mean, she could be, but I don't really think she is. I'm just saying, like, I just want to highlight this to say, like, look guys, I mean, like, I don't think I'm not responding to this video because I think Melanie's a bad person or anything like that.
I love male YouTubers who have male audiences and show their emotions to them.
And I love you too, Melanie Murphy. Okay, I'm joking. Just keep going.
I love men who campaign for things that they care about and believe in.
Are you trying to butter me up before you tear me down? Well, keep on going. I'm not gonna stop you.
Not all women are perfect. Not all men are perfect. There are some great men. I'd argue most men are great and kind and good and respectful. Not all women are perfect. Not all men are perfect. There are some great men. I'd argue most men are great and kind and good and respectful. But we have to be real here for just a couple of seconds, right? Shut up, tractor! Shut the fuck up! In the US alone, men commit 90% of the murders. They represent 77% of the murder victims. They're the demographic most at risk of being victims of violent crime. They're also 4 fucking times more likely to die of suicide.
Now, here's the thing, my friend. You would hear those statistics, and the first thing that would come to the mind of a healthy person would be like, well, holy crap, men are in trouble. Maybe we need to help them. If we have men who are murdering other men, that means either there's psychologically or something wrong. They could just be a crazy psychotic person, right? That can be a thing. Or maybe something has occurred in his life to get him to a point where he has killed someone. If men are the victims, then that means that they are more likely to be in dangerous situations of which they can be killed by someone else. So how did they get there? Okay, and if men are killing themselves, then that means that they feel like they have nothing worth living for. They feel, that their life has been so harsh and so bad that nothing can fix it. There's no way they can fix it. You would think that you would hear all those different things, and the first thing that comes to your mind, I would imagine to the reasonable person, is maybe we should do something about it. Maybe we should help them out. I mean, maybe we should do something to help men, live better, stronger lives. So then why would we then like create a commercial to smack them in the face with the most innocuous of bullcrap with behaviors that is not something that generally even happens with men, which are behaviors that can even be corrected simply, and try to say they need to be better human beings overall when they're the ones who are more likely to straight up be killed and be killers and to kill themselves. Like, don't you think that maybe we should have a little bit more positivity instead of moral grandstanding? You see, because that's what a lot of people interpret from that commercial. They didn't really interpret that men should be better and men can be better. They interpret that men are awful and men are bad. And they need Gillette, of all companies, to tell them that they need to be better. And mostly for the sake of women, by the way. It is interesting. This is probably one of the few commercials where you do have like men trying to be better, like for the sake of their sons and their children. But considering the fact that a father that like loves his children is already going to be inclined to do that, the commercial at that point comes off as a bit unnecessary, at least from my point of view. So much so to a point where it's almost insulting when someone needs to tell you, hey, be a good father to your children. It's like, yeah, that's kind of what I already intend to do. And that's another reason. That's why I, was annoyed with the commercial. I mean, I wasn't like angry and upset, but it's a little annoying, And that's why I felt that way. So continue.
And they're less likely to seek mental health support when they grow up, buying into the traditional notions of being masculine. Like men should be macho and brave and strong all the time, and they should watch football. They should never show any emotions, and they should have loads of sex all the time, even when they're not ready for it.
There's a lot to unpack in that clip. The thing about the social expectations of being a man, part of it is just kind of the practicality that is living life. No matter who you are, you don't really have any other choice but to grow stronger, and learn how to adapt to the stresses of life. And being a man, it's kind of par for the course that you have to try, that you have to, succeed, you have to put effort into existence. That is the curse of man that God gave to Adam in the book of Genesis. If you read that, whether you believe it or not, it really doesn't matter whether you think God is real or not. That is the curse of man. And the point of bringing that up is to show that the fundamental understanding that being a man is a life of struggle has been in our collective human consciousness for millennia. I mean, thousands of years. So you have to become strong to deal with the necessities of life, to deal with people who will bully you, to deal with people who will say things you don't like, to be able to convince people that what they're doing is wrong so they will get on the correct path. You have to be strong. You have to be virtuous as a man. You don't have any other choice but to become a strong person in life. And the expectation, or even the socially guided expectation that you as a man become that way, is just necessary to just deal with just the harshness of life. Now, as far as the whole, I guess since you are a European person, you call them lads. In America they're called, fuck boys. They're called players and all that bullshit. Like the expectation that men are promiscuous and has a bunch of sex with women is a very complex topic, but it is something that is not a feasible or not a reasonable expectation that a lot of young men don't gather. And it's not even it's not even something that a lot of men really want. In the course of my lifetime, I have met men who have been very promiscuous, but they have always been the minority. Most of the men that I have met have always tried to form a stable relationship with one woman, has tried to have a girlfriend and try to be with her. What is very interesting to me is that the men who are very promiscuous are the men that lots of women want. So again, it's a very complex thing that I could go into, but I think this video is going to be pretty long as it is, and I'm not going to go into. But I am going to say that even though that is a stereotype that I'm sure you as a young lady has seen numerous times, because those types of guys I would imagine try to date you, Melanie, because you're attractive. It is not a reasonable expectation that lots of normal men are feeling. Lots of normal men are not really feeling the pressure of being promiscuous. They are feeling the pressure of, if anything, trying to find a woman to marry, like to try to have a family. That's what the vast majority of men want. And while you will find these lads, these promiscuous men, they are the minority, and most of the time it seems more primarily because they have the option to be promiscuous, more so than they feel the social pressures to be that way. And again, that's a whole topic unto itself, so continue.
Even if it's not really their thing. And of course there's nothing wrong with football, and of course there's nothing wrong with being brave. It's this notion that to be a real man, you have to be all of these things at the same time. And it's kind of like when women say bullshit like, oh, real women have curves. Shut up, just shut up. I am guilty of using the word masculine myself.
And that's totally reasonable, Melanie, because masculine just only refers to a trait you would primarily find in men. That's just kind of all it means. Masculinity are the traits you primarily find in a man. It doesn't mean that you can never find these traits in a woman. It doesn't even mean that these traits have to be necessary for an individual to be a man. It just means that for the most part, if you were to write down a list of things, physically or even mentally and emotionally, primarily you will probably find them in men.
But masculinity is a socially constructed term, or concept that people selectively use to describe how a man should be, how he should act.
And Melanie, you might find me being a bit pedantic here, but everything is a socially constructed idea. Like the fact that you have to live in a house is a socially constructed idea. If you really wanted to, you could live in a cave. Like the fact that you have to wear expensive clothes is a socially constructed idea. You might find that I'm being like kind of like obtuse and all over the place, but really the point is, like, something being socially constructed isn't necessarily wrong or right. Socially constructed just means that we as a society have come up with these different ideas, or more accurately, have recognized patterns within us. And when it comes to like being a man, that is more of a recognized pattern of like what men have to become, not only in order to be selected by women, but to just be successful in life. So it's not even necessarily like how to be a masculine man so women like you, which, by the way, was one of the more it's the primary reason why we even have like what it means to be a real man. Like what it means to be a real man, truly and genuinely, normally is referring to like what is attractive to women, like what are the traits that women want and that they deem acceptable in you as a man. That's how a lot of women use it, and that's how it's used a lot in society. However, the idea of what masculinity should be, at least in my point of view and what I try to teach people on my channel, is that it's more something that is a personal journey that you obtain, from personal effort and growth in trying to become a better person than you were the day before. And that's what I'm trying to communicate. So basically, socially constructed ideas is not wrong or right. It's not bad that society constructed it. The problem is, where does it lie? What is its motivation, and what are the credences? That's what I want to highlight here.
And going by research, according to most people, men should never kind of fall outside of this. And this is just absolute bullshit. I've watched some of the closest men in my life struggle so hard to express their emotions when they're really, really overwhelmed, if someone they love has just died, if something terrible has happened, even if they're just feeling stressed, they're like it's like they have this big wall that they can't break through, and they're terrified to break through. Or I've seen men I love be in agony with different sicknesses, diseases, and being afraid to even express that they're in pain.
Yes, Melanie, and there's a very important reason for that, and you're not going to like the answer. I already know you're not going to like it, and a lot of young ladies, they don't, but I'm going to say it because it needs to be said. The reason why you think men have a problem with expressing their emotions is because you're a woman. I'll put it to you like that. Now, to delve deeper into that, I have to first off say that men have no difficulty with like expressing their emotions, like in general. And you'll find some people who, more than anything, can't articulate why they feel a particular way. But as far as expressing it goes, and like saying that they feel bad or awful, yeah, that's literally never a problem I've ever come across when it comes to young men. Like, it's literally never been a thing. most of my male friends have always been able to tell me why they feel bad, and I've always been able to tell them why I feel bad. Now there are some people who they weren't really friends at the time, and they more became my friends later. And then after that point, I was able to express myself to them. But around people that I didn't trust, certainly not. I didn't express my emotions. Certainly not. I didn't say it. And the reason why is because a lot of people take that vulnerability as a weakness, and they'll try to exploit it, and they'll try to use it against you. And the truth of the matter is, this is no more true than with a woman. A lot of women view men being emotional and being honest about how they feel as a weakness. And you probably don't consciously think that. Like you, Melanie, you probably would hear me say this, and if you watch this video, you probably be like, yeah, no, I don't think that my partner or my dad or whatever is weak. And yes, like consciously, a lot of women aren't gonna say that. A lot of women aren't gonna think that, but their actions portray all the time, constantly, that they either think that a man being vulnerable is weak, or they dismiss the emotion in general. There have been many times I've had a conversation with a young lady, and I've tried to explain, hey, this is why this man feels this way. And they said, oh, well, he should just get over it. Oh, well, he should just man up. That's women saying that. I say this to men, and they're like, okay, yeah, I understand that. Here are the solutions. Maybe he should try XYZ. Like, men will hear an emotional problem from another man, and then they're like, okay, we need to find some solutions, perhaps, or maybe he can improve somewhere. You say it to a woman, and she's like, well, he should just get over it. And it's like, well, damn. Like, if you're just gonna tell me just get over it, why did I say anything? And that's something that a lot of women, I don't think, consider, and a lot of women, they will say all the time. I hear women say it all the time. Like, yeah, it should be okay for men to be emotional. Man, it should be okay for men to cry. And then you cry in front of them, and they're like, yeah, I don't like that. No, dude, like, don't. You try to tell a woman you feel a particular way, and then they just get angry with you. And they feel like you're attacking them, when really it's just, hey, this is just how I feel. And that's why you can say that these men have struggled to say it. I would bet $4.92 that the reason why you have seen men struggle to be emotional is because you were around. It's because you were present. That's what the issue there is. Because you are a young lady. And men, whether we say it consciously or unconsciously, we understand more than anything else that the moment we're emotional around a woman, like, her levels of respect for you will drop dramatically. Now, is this all women? Absolutely not. Like, no, not at all. It's not all women. And you might be among the few women who are like, yeah, I can see a man cry, and I will not lose respect for him. However, as men, I have learned this lesson numerous times. And then there's, like, you got to take this to consideration too, which is just more to my point earlier. There are a lot of women, if you're in an argument with them, if you're fighting with them, they will definitely take any emotional thing you said, and they will use it as a spear to drive into your heart, so they could hurt you emotionally. And so, as a man, if you have relationships with women, and you have seen women do this, and I've had women do this to me a lot, eventually you learn, yeah, I'm not going to be open and emotional to you, because one, I know you're going to disrespect me, and two, you're going to use this information against me to harm me at some point in time. And so, honestly, the reason why you don't see these emotions in men is because, to put it bluntly, it's because you're a woman. So
or to cry because they're in pain, and then they hold it all in, and then it fucking explodes. I'm sorry for swearing so much. I'm just very passionate about this. It explodes out of them. And sometimes it'll happen where it comes out in anger with men, because I feel like they're kind of taught from a young age that anger's the only thing they can kind of show without feeling shamed. Like, they're never shamed for showing anger.
Well, no, anger has absolutely nothing to do with being the only emotion for like lack of shame. It's more so because anger as an emotion is the only thing that we all kind of intrinsically understand, and that we all intrinsically respect. Because if you see someone get angry and they throw something, or they're slamming their hands, like, you understand, like, this is like a physical altercation is about to occur. Like this is dangerous. Like, people respect anger more than they will respect sadness, more than they'll respect any other emotion, because now they know that their bodily autonomy, like, is in danger. And that's all that is. Excuse me. It's very primal. But, you just have to accept that, we are still humans, and we are still, like, instinctual, like, beings. And that's all that really is. It's not that men are taught that anger is the only emotion that is acceptable. It's that it's the only emotion that is respected by people. People will only respect the emotional outburst. No one really sees, And that's another thing you have to take into consideration as well, because if you're being bothered, or if you feel lonely, or if you feel angry and upset, let's pile upon the fact of what I just said about like women. If the cause of your anger or your frustration is a woman, and you can't talk to her about it, and you can't, like, in any meaningful way, and you know that she's gonna look down on you, you don't have anything left but an emotional outburst. And a lot of women don't realize that they don't allow men this outlet to be open and emotional with them. Again, I'm not saying this is all women, because it's not all women. I've had a couple of female friends who have definitely given me the option of being open and being honest. But a lot of the times, a lot of women just do not respect how I feel and how a lot of men feel. Like, it's trying to explain, like, this is the issue. Like, this is why men feel that way. A lot of women will dismiss it. But you cannot dismiss anger and frustration. It's just, you have to respect it. Because if a guy runs around and punches someone in the face, well, now you got a fight going on. That's really all it is. It's just that instinctually we just respect anger. And because no one respects trying to help someone before they get to that point, that's why you only see the outburst. Because people aren't normally going to just like explode like crazy. It's always something that occurs over time. And if there's no outlet, you're right. I mean, that's the only option that's going to come eventually. But that's not, like, it doesn't come from, you know what I mean? Like, it's not that anger is like socially acceptable, because actually it's not. It's actually looked down upon quite a bit, because you could hurt people and whatnot. Like, especially anger against women is absolutely looked down upon in society. It's just that, again, instinctually as animals, like, we respect anger, and that's why it is a thing that occurs.
They're never shamed for showing anger, but they're absolutely shamed for showing fear or any other human emotion.
Yes, by women, absolutely. And that's why you feel that way, because again, I've seen lots of men. I've had some of my short male friends tell me they feel inadequate. They feel like they have to work out just in order to compensate for the fact that they're short, because they don't think that girls will like them. I've had lots of different friends tell me why they feel inferior. I've had even some students just kind of talk to me about the problems that they feel emotionally. I don't find very many men honestly have any difficulty with saying how they feel to other men. But damn, shit, even at this point in my life, even as much as it's because I understand you're just not going to get much out of telling a woman how you feel emotionally. A lot of women, in my experience too, I've noticed that if I try to explain about why I feel a particular way about women in general, they oftentimes take it as like a personal attack, when I'm not really even directing it towards them. It's just saying, in general, this is how I feel. So you kind of have to walk on eggshells. Like, if your problem as a man, if your frustration is with the relationship or lack of interpersonal relationships with women, you damn straight are not going to be able to express that. That's game over. Goodbye. See you later. Adios. Look at the way people talk down to incels. And I mean, if you watch some of these videos of incels on YouTube, you'll find men who are angry and frustrated. But damn, you look at the commentary and shit that you can find on Reddit or just on Twitter or whatever. Don't get me wrong. Are there some rude, nasty incels in the world? Yeah, certainly. But a lot of the guys on YouTube that I watch, they're fucking normal, nice people. I mean, they might be socially awkward and kind of strange, but overall, they're fucking fantastic. They could probably be really great friends if someone just legitimately was just talk to them and be there for them. And a lot of people just are not in the business of just trying to help out emotional men. They're just not in the business of trying to help men out. They're just in the business of trying to tell them, fucking get over it, be better. But as far as men expressing that emotion, again, again, you can find lots of videos of incels on the internet right now of them expressing how they feel. And what do they get from women? Do they get any fucking sympathy? No, women feel like they're being attacked. Again, from the nicest incels, just from normal, nice people who aren't cursing, who aren't saying mean things. They're just saying, hey, I feel this way. They get a bunch of bullshit, and then they get ridiculed. And that's what that is. But I mean, is there any difficulty in expressing it? No. You just see that the result of expressing it is literally nothing. You don't gain anything from just saying, hey, I feel this way as a man. People don't try to fix your problems As a man, you have to fix them. People encourage you to try to fix your problems because you are a man. Now, be a woman, on the other hand, and express your emotions. Well, you've got your boyfriend, you got your dad, and you got your brother who will bend over backwards to try to help you fix it. There's no doubt in my mind that they will absolutely try to help and fix your problems. Why? Because they're men, and that's what men do. Men love fixing problems. Men love fixing women's problems. Men love trying to be there and help women. And that's why, from your point of view, you find expressing your emotions will probably always help you out, because you always have an outlet in people who are going to help you. And there's no doubt in my mind that you have that. With men, on the other hand, they're told they got to fix that shit themselves. So then it becomes a question of what's the point of expressing my emotions if literally at the end of the day my problems are a tangible thing that I cannot reach or obtain, for one, and for two, people are going to tell me, oh shit, it doesn't matter. And that's something you have to take into consideration as well, my friend. That is, again, I am speaking as if you're going to watch this video. I hope you watch this video, because I feel kind of silly if you don't.
And I use that word human quite strongly here. Thankfully, there are a lot of men out there who are showing that you can be respectful and kind and warm and emotional, but also be that kind of stereotypical man who loves football and has big muscles and has a beard and tattoos and, you know, because there's nothing wrong with that stuff. The only problem, when we talk about like toxic masculinity, there's nothing toxic about being a fucking man, and that is what is being missed here. What is toxic is feeling like you have to be a lad's lad, and oh yeah, and going up and pinching girls' bums in nightclubs and showing off to the lads that you managed to sway some virgin who really didn't want to have sex with you to have sex with you because, oh, you're such a lad, you're so cool, yeah, top shagger.
Well, you know, Melanie, which you have to understand, and I understand. Sorry, my chair is creaking. Like, I understand why, like, as a woman, like, you would have a great degree of disdain for that, right? Like, I also share disdain for it, but for different reasons, right? Like, from a woman, like, you don't like the idea of being objectified, like, of being treated, like, as a thing to have sex with, rather than a person, like, you know, who wants to enjoy a honest relationship with a man. And I get that completely, totally. That makes perfect sense. And I honestly would encourage other people to view women as people to have sex with, and that there is nothing wrong with wanting to have sex with a woman and having sex with a woman in a functional relationship, preferably in a marriage. But, you know, I'm not so obtuse as to assume that people will be like that. But in a perfect world, that's what I would say, to be consistent with all my other videos. That being said, while I understand that you feel that way, I want you to take a step back and take a look at what it means to date a woman. See, because while I don't think that this should be the metric of how you view yourself as a man, like, I really don't, I understand why it is. Because trying to date a woman for most men is an arduous task, okay? And even if you are dating a woman, you put in more effort to try to date her than she has tried to put in to date you. Just the nature of dating is that. Like, being a woman is literally showing up and having options to sort through. And this isn't like on a dating website, and it's kind of fucking stupid for people to pretend like dating websites is like kind of different from like observable reality, because people on dating websites are people. Like, unless you want to make the argument that they're robots, then it's like people on dating websites go to work and exist in reality. You know what I mean? You know, they didn't just appear from the ether. The idea is that women have options, and to try to date a woman is to prove yourself better than other men, better than her other options, right? That's kind of pretty much what men are going for. So the idea that I can have sex with lots of different women must mean that there is something valuable about me. That's how these men are viewing it. And I don't think that it's a healthy way to view yourself, because you're looking at yourself in relation to what women want from you rather than what is productive for your life. However, that is where the self-esteem is coming from, and it's awful, and it shouldn't be the case. But you have to understand that the whole lad thing does stem from insecurity, and it does stem from pain. It's not really something to be proud of. It's really just you admitting that your self-esteem is beholden to just random women you don't know, which means you don't really have a core identity of who you are. You're just more following what someone said you should do.
Violence is toxic. Stoicness is toxic.
And I just fundamentally disagree with you here. Stoicness, there's a time and place for everything. You can't cry about everything, and you can't be upset about everything. because sometimes you have to get shit done. You know, for example, I'll give you a good example actually. My This kind of sucks. My dog died sometime last month. Yeah, in December, and I had to. Like, me and my mom, we had to get the dog, and then we had to dig a hole, and then put the dog in the hole, because obviously, like he died like around like 12 o'clock at night. You know what I mean? And she cried about it, obviously, because like, she loved the dog. But I didn't cry at the time because like I had something to do. I had to move the dog. I couldn't sit there and whine about the fact that my dog died. I had to do something about it. You know, I couldn't sit there and cry about, digging this hole for my dog. I had to dig the hole. I had a job to do at that moment in time, and I couldn't break down emotionally because my mom needed me, well, to be a man and do my job. But afterwards, man, I cried about that dog. When I got done, when I finished burying that dog, man, I washed my hands. I went to my room, and I fucking cried about that dog. I love that dog. But I want you to notice something here. Like, if you watch this video, notice that literally there is no difficulty in me just explaining, not only did I just love this dog, but I cried about this dog that I had to bury, right? But I also want you to take into consideration that at that time when I had to deal with my dog's death, I was not upset or crying about it. And the reason why, because I had something to do. That's what stoicism is about. It's not that you can never have emotions and you can never feel. It's about time and place. It's about when you have something you need to do, you cannot break down in that moment. You have to put your emotions aside and do your job. That's what that is about. So stoicism is not bad. It's just time and place. That's what we have to learn as men. Now, whether you think it's wrong or right is up to you. But I think it's a great trait for men to have, and it's something that you have to cultivate just in order to exist functionally in the world. You know what I mean? If something bad happens, if you have to be able to operate in the midst of the chaos in order to solve the problem. And then afterwards, you can express yourself. But at the time, that's what stoicism is for, my friend. Continue.
Regarding the Gillette ad, I felt like it showed men at their best. So maybe we're all watching different ads here. Maybe some men are kind of not even giving it a chance and they're just seeing what they wanted to see. But I watched that and I saw men being amazing dads, standing up for and protecting their friends. It was great. Like, they weren't being shown as idiots or meatheads or whatever.
Well, at the end of the ad, I would say, yeah, like I actually said this in my first video on the topic, that I found it hilarious that at the end of the day, it was a bunch of fathers being fathers and like teaching their sons, like how to operate in the world. You know what I mean? which is why I said, like, it just kind of seems superfluous. Like unnecessary for a commercial to come and say, hey, like, be a father to your children and like teach them how to be like wonderful people. Like, it's like, yeah, like that's exactly what I would intend to do if I had children. Like, I don't need a shaving company to come out and tell me, hey, you need to be a good father to your kids. Like, thank you for that. That being said, like, the first part of that ad was indeed showing like men are a negative force in our society. It was showing that, and it even took some of the most innocuous behaviors, which is just like trying to approach a woman that you think is attractive and trying to paint that as a negative thing that should not occur. So hopefully you understand that. Continue.
They were just being portrayed as people. Some people who are victims of bullying, others who feel the need to come on strongly to women who haven't asked for it because they've been brought up to think that that's what they're meant to do, and others still who call that shit out. I thought it was brilliant. I've been sexually assaulted in my life. I was 17 and it's something that I've never made a video about, and I'm never going to make a video about it because I get very anxious talking about it. It's not a nice memory for me, obviously. I did write about it in my first book, which is kind of about growing up in the digital age and lessons I've learned and all that. But to be honest, you don't need to go out and read my account of being sexually assaulted. There's plenty of women who've been quite outspoken about it, and men who've also been sexually assaulted by men, and a tiny percentage of women as well.
I want to interject here briefly. I do not think that it's fair for you to say that men have been sexually assaulted by a tiny minority of women, and that you think that like homosexual men are assaulting like regular men a little bit more. I do think that this is kind of kind of trying to portray that there are more negative men in the world than there are positive men. I don't know if that's what you were trying to do, if this was subconscious, but it is. I really just don't think that that was a right thing to say here by like the tiny minority of women like that. That is not fair at all. There are a lot of women who are indeed, sexual predators and have indeed like abused like younger men that a lot of people just do not take seriously at all as a fucking joke. Like the fact that a teacher, there are so many stories like this. The fact that a teacher can abuse a young boy, and that's genuinely, and it is abuse, and people say, oh well, he got lucky. Like that fucking faggotry, that fucking weak bullshit, honestly, from even other men is disgusting to me. I don't think that it's fair at all to try to minimize that experience. That like, if your teacher, if your female teacher has abused you, your next door neighbor, your babysitter has harmed you in some way, and you're supposed to be considered lucky because she was a woman, it's just kind of disgusting. And I think that that should be highlighted as well. The point isn't to say that women are awful or bad, but the point is to say that like men are not just this nebulously evil thing that are also like negative and evil to other men. So like men need to fix that. It's like no, evil exists in the world and that needs to be stopped. It's not a male female evil problem. It's just evil.
Obviously in this conversation it's like not all men, not all women. In the same way in every conversation when you're talking about an issue or a minority or whatever. But yeah, like when I was growing up, it was so normal to just expect that I would be touched inappropriately, wolf whistled at, etc. on nights out, and I receive comments online from people saying that they want to rape me every fucking week. Every week, like it's disgusting. And I've seen so many men who I've cared about avoid being called a pussy by bottling stuff in and kind of putting on this armor that they just are expected to wear at all times.
Now, Melanie, what you have to understand is kind of what I brought to earlier. The reason why we men have this armor is because we have to deal with the harshness that is life in reality. As I said before, if you are watching this, my dog died, and I had to remove my dog's dead body. Yeah, I had to. There's no choice. I guess maybe I could have called animal. I don't know if animal control runs late at night. Maybe I could have looked into that. But his dead body would still be there if I had to wait for animal control to come. That's my point. Life sucks. I've been bullied. I've had people say mean things to me. I've had to pay bills. I've had to deal with shitty situations. I almost got into a fight. Life is gonna try to fight. Other people are gonna screw with you, and you have to be strong in order to deal with it. And that's what being a man is about. It's getting the strength to deal with the shittiness of life, rather than pretending that we can just make life all fluffy and beautiful and better if we just will it to be the case. Unfortunately, that's just not how it goes, Melanie, and that's why you see these men have this armor. And you, as a young lady, as you explained in your earlier clips, have also dealt with a bunch of shittiness. You say that some people have claimed that they wanted to rape you, which is fucking awful, honestly. But guess what? You can't stop that. You have to have thick skin. You have to have the armor. You have to have the mental fortitude to see that bullshit and delete the comments if you want to, or ignore the comments, or even fight back against the comments or whatever. But the fact remains, nasty people are going to be nasty people. And you can't pretend that they're not a thing, and you can't will them out of existence. Instead, you have to gain the strength to deal with those people, whether it be ignoring them or even just kind of having a normal conversation with them. There have been plenty of times, honestly, where someone has said some mean shit in my comment section, and I'll just ask them. I'll be like, bro, what's up, man? Like, what's your problem? And their whole tone changes. It never fails. It never ceases to amaze me. The amount of people who try to, like, clap at me or insult me, and then I just ask them, like, hey, man, what's up? And it just changes. Like, now, like, the moment they realize that I'm like a human being who reads this shit, they're like, oh, wait, hold on. Maybe I can't just, like, talk to him. And that's what you got to do when you're a man. You got to be able to get to that point where you can solve problems. Which I'm not saying that as a woman you can't do it. I'm just saying that women seem to not be taught to do that.
If you have a partner or close friends or siblings or whatever, you should be able to be real with them. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of men really struggle with that.
They really struggle with being real with women, yes. Other men, not at all. No problem at all, actually, from what I've seen in my life. It's never been an issue. When it came to talking to women, ooh. Always. I do primarily think that the only reason you feel this way, Melanie, and I'm not saying this to insult you, by the way, I'm just saying that you got to understand that your experience as a woman is just fundamentally different as a man. And the reason why you don't see it from men is because you're a woman, and what they have been taught as being emotionally vulnerable in the face of a woman will make her disrespect you. Unfortunately. Is it all women? No. But is it a lot of women? Yeah. Is it more often than not? Yeah. And that is an issue that women have to do something about. Men can't really do anything about that. So this video, I already knew this video was going to be long, but hopefully, Melanie, you stayed tuned and you watched all of it. I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to do a lot on the cutting room floor, but hopefully you can get the main message I'm trying to come across with you. So final thought, final verdict. I want you to take out this video as understand that men do not have any difficulty expressing their emotions. And the problems that the ad has shown us is far more complicated than what was shown. But the general gist of it all is either a message of just completely patronizing, hey, fathers, older brothers, love your family, because thank you, Gillette, we need you to tell us that. But also what's important to understand is that the experiences of being a man is one of struggle and pain, and we have to gain the strength in order to deal with it. Men have no problem expressing their emotions to other men. But if you are a young lady, you, Melanie, being one, I assume, hopefully I don't misgender you there. I don't really think I can misgender someone named Melanie, but whatever. What you gotta understand is that if you are not seeing men being emotional, if you're not seeing men expressing their emotions, a huge portion of that does come from the fact that we are conditioned, mostly by women, that by showing our emotions, it makes us look weak and it makes us look vulnerable. And women will either not want to date us for that, they will not respect us for that, or they will then use those emotions against us. That is why you are seeing what you are seeing. I would bet, again, $4.95. That is why you are seeing it. And thus, that issue is not a problem that men can solve. That is something young ladies need to talk to other women about and try to see if they can understand and respect the emotional nature of man. Because I can tell you this right now, man, there have been plenty of times where I have tried to explain to a woman, men feel this way because X, and they just say, oh, well, they just need to get over it. So hopefully you have gotten something out of this video. And if anyone else got anything out of this video, please, man, you know what? Go ahead and click the like button. Yes, you go ahead and click that subscribe button. Comment in the comment box below. As always, you guys have yourselves a great day. I'll see you cool cats soon. Adios.